My name is Charles Muswhite. I'm Professor of Psychology at Aberystwyth University. I've recently written a book for Emerald on designing public space for an aging population, addressing how we improve the public realm, how we improve roads, how we improve streets so that we can remain mobile in later life as mainly as a pedestrian. So how do we create a better walking environment for ourselves as we age? I've come to this because over the last 20 years or so, I've focused my research around how people connect to neighborhoods, how they connect to the communities, how they connect to other people that they want to stay connected to, and the role that transport and mobility has in those connections. Everything from driving, using public transport, and in this case, looking at how important it is that we stay active and are able to do that as a pedestrian. I think being a pedestrian is hugely overlooked in lots of the literature, in lots of the research, in lots of the interventions that we put in place. Yet it's absolutely vital. I start the book by saying, every single journey that we do starts as a pedestrian, even if we're walking to our car, walking to the bus stop, let alone if we're doing longer walks. Yet it's often, hugely overlooked. But it has huge benefits in terms of physical health for older people and in terms of mental health as well. In terms of physical health, it can reduce cardiovascular disease by about 30%, reduce all-cause mortality in total, about 20%. And in terms of mental health, I have older people telling me how it makes them feel loads better. It helps them stay connected to things they want to do, and that helps them stay, more fit and well. And so it's absolutely vital that we get it right. But really, in lots and lots of countries around the world, we're not getting it right at all. Not getting it right for the population as a whole, and even more challenging for ourselves as we age, with quite normal things that happen to us as we age: changes in eyesight, changes in our gait, changes in our ability to walk or be physical for long periods of time. And we just don't design our environment very well for that kind of thing. We know, for example, that things in the infrastructure can be huge barriers for older people, as we'd imagine. So pavements that are cracked, not having pavements at all, having obstructions on those pavements, cars parked on pavements, having A boards and advertising signs, meaning people have to walk out into the road and go around them. Much more harder to do as we age, much more likely to reduce people's ability to get out and about, and less likely therefore to walk and therefore connect to the things that people want to do, as well as being physically fit and able. I've tried in the book to place these barriers around different what we might call capitals. Myself and Teresa Scott from the University of Queensland in Australia designed a model a few years ago that we termed mobility capital. That there's 4 different types of capital that we all have, 4 different types of resource, if you like, that help us stay connected to the things we want to do. Infrastructure capital is the one that I've already mentioned there. So the providing clutter-free pavements, places for people to be able to cross the road. That's probably the one that people focus on most. It's probably the one where if there are interventions at all carried out, that's where the interventions tend to take place. But we often provide poor infrastructure for ourselves as we age. So therefore, we need to look at other different resources and how they might help balance some of that. So there's social capital as well. So this relates to Bourdieu's capitals and how he talked very much about the way people can support one another, that feeling of creating neighborhood, of creating community. And again, that can happen if we all slow down and walk a lot more. Lots of people walking, they get to know each other, and how important that is for creating a sense of community, creating a sense of neighborliness and neighborhood. And that in turn helps people achieve what they want to do. If you haven't got very good infrastructure, other people in the community might be able to help you cross the road or help you get the things in that you need from those journeys. There's a way of backing up some other types of capital that failed with capital that might be more in abundance. There's also cultural capital, and I think that's really important for some of the things we're talking about when it comes to pedestrian sort of infrastructure and social infrastructure in terms of improving people's walking, because cultural infrastructure is about how much resource we might place, how much money we might place on the infrastructure, and social capital, how much emphasis we place on it. So it's about strategies, it's about laws, it's about our attitudes towards things, our hearts and minds. And I don't think we really value walking in the way that we should in society. So it's often seen in transport terms as a kind of Cinderella service. It just sort of happens, you know, it doesn't need lots of help or support in order to do it. But of course, I think what I found in the research over the last 20 years is that it's completely different to that. We need to look after it the same way we look after private vehicles in the area, and provide infrastructure in the same kind of way. And then the final capital is the individual capital that people have themselves. And as I said, as you age, that changes quite a bit. So you know, quite ordinary things that happen to us all from quite a young age and then come to a head as we get older, changes in our hearing, changes in our eyesight, changes in our physical ability to get out and about, mean that challenges that we could overcome at a younger age become more difficult in later life, and particularly if we don't create the right kind of infrastructure. So overall, I try to pull those together and try to offer examples of where we can improve the public realm to help people walk and cycle, drawing on precedent and previous examples within all of that, improving things like lighting, reducing the speeds of traffic nearby, making better pavements, keeping them clutter-free, having more seats and benches for people to pause on their journey, offering a space where people might be able to stop and sit and talk to other people, really important for that. But finally, I just wanted to mention, you know, it's not just about accessibility, although of course that's absolutely crucial, but it's also about creating desirable spaces. It's about creating spaces that people want to come and walk in, spaces that people are attracted to and pulled towards. So I offer suggestions of how we can improve that, drawing on environmental psychology literature and literature from architecture over the last few years. So things like creating spaces of mystery and intrigue, creating spaces of high aesthetics, thinking about the colors, the vegetation, waterscapes and extras like that, creating public space that people want to be part of. So overall, I think we've got to just improve walking. We've got to improve the public realm in order to improve spaces for walking. It's good for mental and physical health. It's good for creating neighborhood and community, reducing isolation and loneliness for us all as we age. And too often it really is just neglected. And I think this is a huge cost to society, particularly among ourselves as we age, and a cost to their own mental and physical health. But like I say, also a cost to creating that neighborhoodness and that creating community space. So I really hope things can change. I hope I can make a difference by people reading the book and offer some practical solutions, but also offer that change of heart and minds and make things better for us all as we age and help us stay connected to things we want to do.